Most people think aging is just about getting older. But what if I told you that three foods sitting in your kitchen right now are quietly accelerating that process, not by months, but potentially by years? I'm Dr. Eleanor Hayes, an internal medicine physician, and after 20 years of treating patients just like you, I've watched this pattern repeat itself more times than I can count. People who eat well, exercise regularly, and still wonder why their joints hurt more, their energy is lower, and their body feels older than it should. Here's what I've come to understand. Inflammation is the engine of aging, and certain foods we eat every single day, are pouring fuel onto that engine without us even realizing it. Today, I'm going to walk you through three of the most common offenders. And more importantly, I'll show you exactly what to replace them with. Because aging well isn't about restriction, it's about making smarter choices. Stay with me, the third one surprises almost everyone. Before we get into the foods themselves, I want to give you one concept that will connect everything you're about to hear. Think of your body like a slow burning fire. A little warmth keeps you healthy. That's your immune system doing its job. But when inflammation becomes chronic, when that fire burns too hot for too long, it starts damaging the very tissues it's supposed to protect. Your blood vessels, your joints, your brain. I call this your inflammation threshold. And every food choice you make either moves you toward that threshold or away from it. Keep that in mind as we go through each point. Because by the end of this, you'll have a very clear picture of which side of that line you've been standing on. The sweet trap, added sugars, and high fructose corn syrup. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you ate something sweet and thought, this is aging me? Most of my patients don't connect sugar to inflammation. They connect it to weight, maybe to diabetes. But the aging piece, that one catches them off guard every time. Here's what's happening inside your body when you regularly consume foods loaded with added sugars. I'm talking about sweetened beverages, packaged baked goods, flavored yogurts, and many breakfast cereals that seem healthy on the label. When sugar enters your bloodstream in large amounts, it triggers a process called glycation. Think of it this way. Sugar molecules attach to proteins in your body, including the collagen in your skin, the proteins in your blood vessels, and even the proteins in your brain. Over time, this creates something called advanced glycation end products. Scientists actually call them AGs, and the name is fitting. Research suggests that high AGE accumulation is associated with accelerated cellular aging, increased arterial stiffness, and a higher risk of cognitive decline. In my practice, I've seen patients in their late 60s who look and feel a decade older than they are. And when we dig into their diet, sugar is almost always part of the story. Now, here's what most doctors don't have time to explain in a 10-minute appointment. It's not natural sugars in whole fruit we're concerned about. Fruit comes packaged with fiber, which slows absorption and softens that blood sugar spike. We're talking about added sugars, the ones manufacturers put into processed foods to make them more appealing. The real-life impact for someone over 50. Chronic low-grade inflammation from excess sugar has been linked in many studies to joint pain, increased skin aging, and greater cardiovascular risk. Your inflammation threshold doesn't forgive what it can't process. What to do instead? Read ingredient labels. Anything ending in ose, glucose, fructose, maltose is a sugar. If it appears in the first four ingredients, set the product down. Swap sweetened beverages for sparkling water with a slice of citrus. Small habits, real impact. The hidden danger. Ultra-processed foods and industrial seed oils. Stay with me here, because this one goes deeper than most people expect. We've all heard don't eat processed food. But what makes ultra-processed foods specifically so damaging, and why does it matter more after 65? Here's the honest answer. Ultra-processed foods, think packaged snack foods, fast food, frozen meals, commercial breads, are typically made with a combination of refined flour, added sugar, artificial additives, and something most people overlook entirely, industrial seed oils. These are oils like soybean oil, corn oil, sunflower oil, and cottonseed oil. They're used because they're cheap and have a long shelf life. But here's what research is showing us. These oils are extremely high in omega-6 fatty acids. Your body needs some omega-6, but in the modern diet, many people are consuming far too much of it relative to omega-3 fatty acids. And that imbalance, many studies suggest, is one of the key drivers of systemic inflammation. I had a patient once, a retired teacher, very health conscious, exercised 3 times a week, who came to me with persistent joint pain and fatigue she couldn't explain. She wasn't eating fast food, she was cooking at home. But she was cooking with vegetable oil every single day and snacking on what she considered healthy packaged crackers. When we shifted her toward olive oil, fatty fish, and whole foods, the change she felt over several months was remarkable. That's what crossing back under your inflammation threshold can feel like. The reason this matters more after 65 is that your body's ability to resolve inflammation naturally becomes less efficient as you age. So, the same dietary habit that your body could compensate for at 40 may tip you over that threshold at 65. What to do instead? Cook with extra virgin olive oil or avocado oil. Eat more omega-3 rich foods, fatty fish like salmon and mackerel, walnuts, ground flaxseed. And when you buy packaged foods, check the ingredient list for soybean oil, corn oil, or any partially hydrogenated oil. If you see it, put it back. The one nobody suspects. Refined carbohydrates and white flour products now, this is the one. The one that surprises almost every patient I bring it up with. Because when most people think about inflammatory foods, they think about sugar, they think about fried food. They don't usually think about the bread they've been eating their whole lives. Here's the reality. White bread, white rice, regular pasta, most crackers and bagels, these are all made from refined grains. And when a grain is refined, the fiber and many nutrients are stripped away. What remains is essentially a very fast carbohydrate that behaves almost identically to pure sugar in your bloodstream. When you eat refined carbohydrates, your blood sugar rises quickly. Your body releases insulin to bring it back down. Over time, if this happens repeatedly throughout the day, with a bagel at breakfast, crackers at lunch, white rice at dinner, it creates a pattern of blood sugar swings and chronic insulin response that many researchers associate with increased inflammatory markers. But here's what makes this especially relevant after 65. Insulin sensitivity naturally decreases with age. Your body becomes slightly less efficient at managing blood sugar fluctuations. So refined carbohydrates push you closer to that inflammation threshold faster and harder than they did when you were younger. A common misconception I hear is, I've been eating bread my whole life and I was fine, and I understand that logic completely. But your body at 65 is not the same as your body at 35. The same habits that were manageable then can tip the balance now. This doesn't mean you can never eat bread again. It means choosing differently. Whole grain bread, where the first ingredient says whole wheat or whole grain, not just wheat flour, contains the fiber that slows digestion and blunts that blood sugar spike. The difference between whole grain and refined grain is not cosmetic. Research suggests it has real measurable effects on inflammatory markers over time. What to do instead? Swap white bread for 100% whole grain. Replace white rice with brown rice, quinoa, or lentils. When you do have refined carbs, and sometimes you will, and that's okay, pair them with protein or healthy fat to slow the blood sugar response. Now, I promised you one more surprising insight, and here it is. Most people focus on what to remove from their diet to fight inflammation, but the research suggests that what you add may matter just as much, if not more. Foods with natural anti-inflammatory compounds, berries, leafy greens, turmeric, fatty fish, extra virgin olive oil, green tea, actively help your body resolve inflammation and protect your cells. Think of them as lowering your inflammation threshold from the other direction. In my 20 plus years of practice, the patients who age best are not the ones who follow the most restrictive diets. They're the ones who consistently add more of the right foods while gradually crowding out the harmful ones. Shift your mindset from restriction to addition. It changes everything about how sustainable these changes feel. Before you go, here are 3 smart questions worth bringing to your next doctor's appointment. 1. Are my current inflammatory markers, like CRP or ESR, within a healthy range for my age? 2. Based on my health history, are there specific dietary changes you'd recommend to reduce my inflammation risk? 3. Should I consider an omega-3 or anti-inflammatory diet plan as part of managing my joint pain, cardiovascular risk, blood sugar? These questions give your doctor something concrete to work with, and they signal that you're taking an active role in your own health, which, in my experience, makes the biggest difference of all. Here's what I want you to take away from today. Your body has a remarkable capacity to heal and adapt at 65, at 70, at 80, but it needs you to work with it, not against it. Reducing your intake of added sugars, ultra-processed foods, and refined carbohydrates isn't punishment. It's protection. It's choosing to keep that internal fire at a steady, healthy warmth instead of letting it burn out of control. Small, consistent changes over time are what I've watched transform my patients' energy, their pain levels, and their quality of life. Not overnight, but meaningfully, genuinely. If this video helped you see your daily food choices in a new way, please subscribe. Every week, I share research-backed health insights that your doctor wants you to know. but simply doesn't have time to explain in a 10-minute visit. And if you have a question or a topic you'd like me to cover, leave it in the comments. I read them. Take good care of yourself. You deserve to age well. This video is for educational purposes only and does not replace personalized advice from your own physician. Please consult your healthcare provider before making any changes to your diet or treatment plan.